All right, hello everyone, it's silverkyle, and welcome to my weekly update for February 5th, 2024, where we're going to be talking about all my recent reads that I had from last week. Then we're going to be moving on to what I do plan on reading in the next week, and finally talking about the videos that I plan to, or hope to do within this week as well. So let's dive into my first recent reads of last week, where I did finish up The Empire of the Vampire by Jay Kristoff. I talked about this briefly in my January wrap-up video, where I enjoyed this book, but the writing isn't really meant for me. I'll talk a little bit more about it when I finally do my review, hopefully at the end of the week. But it's enough. The story itself is enough and intriguing enough for me to continue. The writing is kind of standoffish for me. It's just not really jiving. And I kept saying, okay, I just won't read the second book in March. But by the end, I was hooked. I want to know what's going to be happening. I want to see what's going to be happening to some of these characters. There's a lot of parts here too, where Jay Kristoff kind of has a few moments every once in a while where there's some really good dialogue. I like what's being said. So I'm going to continue with the series. I'm definitely going to be picking up book 2. Just not exactly my favorite to read, if that makes any sense. When they get to the story and I realize what's going on, I'm loving it, but the actual part of reading it isn't exactly my favorite. But yeah, still looking forward to kind of seeing what's going to be happening with the sequel there in this world, because vampires in a post-apocalyptic world with some interesting characters that are vampire hunters, partially, yeah, I won't spoil anything else. But yeah, good stuff, good stuff. So once I finished Empire of the Vampire, that kind of left things open, and I started 2 new books this past week, that being The Shining by Stephen King. This is the 3rd novel that he ever wrote. I also have 2 friends that are reading this. One of them has already finished it, and he liked it. He kind of felt that there were some parts that he didn't enjoy nearly as much when there was kind of going into a lot of detail. One of the things that I mentioned that I've read so far, because I'm about 200 pages in at this point in time, so almost the halfway mark, is that the characters are great, because that's Stephen King. And I think that that's his first ever Stephen King novel that he's read. And the characters are just so well realized that one of the 3 main characters here is a boy called Danny. He's 5 years old, and in any medium, I generally hate kids. In movies, TV shows, books, they bog things down. They're not interesting. They're not good actors if they're in movies or anything. And I would much rather stick with adults. I feel like they just get in the way. Danny, however, you get his point of view, and Stephen King completely makes all the things that you would think of as a child realized here. And it's fun. It's kind of so fun to see his innocence, how wholesome he is, how he doesn't understand things because he's a kid, and he goes through that mental process of what a kid thinks when they don't understand something. And it's great. It's so well done. It makes the parts where it's Danny's point of view, and I'm like, well, this is going to be entertaining in some way, shape, or form. I'm going to enjoy this. I cannot believe that could have ever happened for me to be really enjoying it for a 5-year-old too. Not like a 10-year-old where there's more stuff going on. No, Stephen King goes into the point of view and exactly through all the thought process of what Danny's going through for chapters at a time. And it's great. It's absolutely great. You're kind of going back and forth between all of them, but I've had quite a few chapters now in total of just Danny, and I've loved it. So very much enjoying The Shining. There's some creepy moments, definitely. Out of everything I've read from Stephen King so far, I would probably say that I'm enjoying it about on par as Carrie, maybe a little bit more than Carrie. Not as good as Salem's Lot, and it does beat Billy Summers from what I've read from Mr. King so far. Very excited to kind of see how this all ends. I have seen the movie, so I kind of have an idea, but I don't know if it's going to be exactly the same in the book. So good stuff there. Oh, sorry, I have 2 friends reading it, so one of them has completed, and the other one's probably about the same area that I'm in at the moment. Next up, I have been continuing my reread of The Wheel of Time. This is book two here, The Great Hunt by Robert Jordan. And I'm reading it. So I know this is kind of weird, but I like getting the hardcovers for these books, but I don't necessarily like reading them. So I do have the trade paperbacks, and I'm about 100 pages in at this point in time. So 1/6 of the way through, give or take. I think it's a little over 600 pages in the the trade paperback that I'm reading. So I'm liking it. Doesn't have as good of an introduction and beginning as The Eye of the World does. I think that The Eye of the World, those first 100 pages are absolutely top tier. It's just such a good beginning. And this, because it does follow right where The Eye of the World left off, and I'm still liking it. I'm enjoying it. The characters are kind of continuing on with what happened there. And they're still a lot of them are very paranoid with what's going on. I'm not going to go into too many spoilers here. But yeah, it's still good, just I'm not enjoying as much. But I know that once we get a little bit further, things really start to ramp up and pick up. And it gets a lot more interesting, especially the last half of the book is just great stuff. So that's everything that I read in the past week. A good week for reading, honestly. Finishing up The Shadow of the Empire, I think that's the next book in the series. Empire of the Vampire was 300 pages or something like that. Read another 200 pages of The Shining and 100 pages of The Great Hunt. I wish I was maybe about 100 pages further into The Great Hunt, but that's okay. I'm thinking that I'll probably be able to catch up on that when the weekend arrives next in a few days here, because I'm posting this on Monday. So we'll see how that goes. And then what do I have planned for technically this week? Going forward, I'll definitely be probably finishing up The Shining, continuing to reread The Great Hunt, and I think I'll probably, at the very end, probably have enough room to jump into at least one more book, and that would probably be the sequel, or the last sequel to the Empire of the Wolf trilogy. This is Justice of the Kings, the first book in the series, and I'm getting the third book, which is, I think, Trials of the Empire. I can't remember exactly the name of it, but it's on the way, so it's been shipped. And once I get that, I'll be diving into that third book and finally finishing up. Not finally finishing up. I just started this series last year, but I'll be finishing up that trilogy, finishing up the story, seeing how it ends, and hoping that it's as good as Justice of the Kings, which was my favorite of the two that I've read so far. I've heard good things. If by some miracle I've finished The Great Hunt within that time as well, 200, I've got 200 pages. I don't know. That's a possibility. I don't think that's going to happen. But if I do, we're probably going to be starting Dune afterwards. So I don't think that's going to happen this week. I'm thinking more so next week is going to be the plan for that. In terms of this past week, in terms of videos, I did quite a few videos. I was very busy. I think I had 6 videos out of the 7 days that have lapsed here. So very busy. Great stuff. A lot of it was book related, so I'm sorry if that's not really your cup of tea. I did have the Spider-Man omnibus overview for the Clone Wars Volume 1. Very excited to have that. I think that was this past week, was it not? I think it was. We also, it was. And then we had my pickups for the month of January. We had my monthly wrap-up where I went over everything that I read in the past month, which was 4 books. Very happy with that. I was hoping it would be a little bit higher, but I always said that if I get at least 3 or 4, I'll be happy. So 4 books down. They were big ones too, so I'm happy with that. And we had my TBR for February and Grand Blue Fantasy Relink. Do I have it over here? Yeah, I do. I did an unboxing of this for the PlayStation 5, and I called it Grand Blue Fantasy Relink, and I had pretty much 30 views within the first 8 hours, and I was just like, well, I guess nobody's really interested, but I got the game a day early, and it's the deluxe edition. And so I was thinking, why aren't I getting a little bit more traction? Generally that happens. And then I saw that I had, with the typo, because I had thought it was actually called Grand Blue Fantasy Relink. It's Grand Blue, no D. And once I changed that, I'm up to 800 views now. So really got to pay attention to what things are called. Really matters for the algorithm. And so very happy that that's doing really well. And I've started this game and I'm really enjoying it. This is a action RPG that I'm still at the beginning of the game, so I'm still learning all the new mechanics, but they're kind of throwing, like, every once in a while, hey, this is a new mechanic that we're going to be throwing at you. They're very quick and concise, which is good because I generally don't like having big, training sessions and you got to really learn a different system that's really complicated. That's not my thing. I just kind of want to dive into a game and play it. And I'm enjoying it so far. A lot of the characters are very fun. They're in the sense of the voice acting is really well done. I'm using the English voice acting. I rarely ever go to the Japanese ones. I know that that's probably a blasphemy for some of you. I get it, but it just makes things a lot easier for when I can just hear them speaking. And the voice acting is good. The story so far is pretty interesting, and I'm hooked. And it's a beautifully realized world too. I mean, it is this kind of like anime look because it's a JRPG, but it's very colorful. And you're kind of flying around in the sky in this big gigantic ship. I'm liking it a lot. It is a little bit, it's not open world so far anyway. I don't think it will be. I think you're kind of just, you have set pieces that you kind of go to and you kind of choose where they are. And then you have a specific route that you can go through during each section, which is fine. I don't really want an open world unless it's something that I really enjoy. Skyrim, Grand Theft Auto, Red Dead, those kinds of games. There's a few every once in a while that I feel warrant Zelda, that warrant that open world, but I'm perfectly fine with just kind of being shoehorned in a specific area and going about it. So having a lot of fun with that. And the things that I have planned for next week are, obviously this video will go out on Monday. Then I'm going to have a review for Only If You're Lucky, the mystery novel from Stacey Willingham. And then we're going to talk about The Empire of the Vampire, have a review for that. But I think I'll try to separate that with something else, probably an omnibus overview that I haven't had a chance to do yet. We'll kind of bridge those two together. And that's it at the moment. So those are the 4 videos that will be produced, including this one, this week that I know of. If something comes up, if there's something big news related, I'll definitely do that too. But at the moment, that's all that I have planned. I think we'll see. I might do something at the end and try to make 5 videos. So we'll see how that goes. That's pretty much it in terms of what I have planned. And now I just want to get into some quick discussions once again about WWE. I won't go into a big rant like I did last time. But The Rock has come out. If you don't watch WWE, you can shut off right now. That's all I'm going to talk about for the rest of the video here. The Rock came back and took Cody's spot away. Cody had won the Royal Rumble. And for the past year, it's all been about, okay, what's a long build for Cody? Because he won the Rumble last year. He faced Roman Reigns. He lost. And then Triple H said, you got to wait for this long-term story building. And so we all thought, okay, he's going to build himself back up. He did. He won the Rumble again this year. He points to Roman. He has a press conference and they ask him, who are you going for? He's like, I think it's pretty obvious that I'm going for Roman. I mean, I pointed at him at the end of the match there. All signs leading to Roman. Nope. The Rock won't have that next week because the Punk got injured because of big scandal with Vince and all that kind of stuff. Brock Lesnar can't be part of WrestleMania. So The Rock feels that he needs to inject himself and save WrestleMania from all the main roster guys because they're not big enough, and he's going to challenge Roman Reigns instead. And that's essentially what Cody says. He comes out, he says, I'm going to give up my spot. I'm going to challenge you, but not right now, not at WrestleMania, because I had counsel from the back, and that's The Rock, and he's going to take you on basically instead. It's not confirmed yet, but it certainly seems like that's going to happen. And it just makes the Royal Rumble look pointless because yes, he can still challenge for Seth, but the whole thing is that you can win the Royal Rumble and choose who you want to go after. And clearly it all makes sense for Cody to go after Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns has the WWE Championship. The whole thing of Finish the Story is that his father almost won the WWE Championship, but he never did. So that's the title that Cody wants. Plus he didn't beat Roman last year. He's beaten Seth 3 times already. And it's not the title that's meant for him. So there's so much bigger storylines and it's long-term booking for Cody to go after Roman. But The Rock showed up. He says, no, I haven't wrestled in years. I want to do this instead. This is what's going to happen. And it is completely backfired to such a glorious point where everybody is attacking The Rock, calling it. He posts something that's completely unrelated to wrestling, and everybody's harping on him. You stole Cody's Roman. We want Roman versus Cody. We don't want you in the match. Stay the F away. It's great. It's incredible. And The Rock, the next time that he shows up on Raw or SmackDown, is going to get booed so incredibly hard. And while it's great to have wrestlers return, legends return, you generally don't want them taking a spot for a wrestler that's there every week, that's there every day, that is going to the house shows, that is there for the 52 Raws or SmackDowns that they're on, that is there for every PLE. You want that, and The Rock can't do that, and it's understandable. So yes, he can still definitely have a match, but it shouldn't be the main event and stop somebody's momentum, which is Cody's, for him to finish his story, because it's been leading to that this entire time. So I'm really hoping that WWE does something. I don't know if they will, because Rock is incredibly stubborn. He's very egotistical, and if he has his mindset because he's on the board of directors for TKO, he can kind of get his way a lot easier than he ever did before. He is the wrestler that has the most power than any wrestler has ever had power. Triple H had a lot of power in WWE. Rock has more now. It's insane how he can just sway things. And it'll be interesting to see, though, because, I mean, the video itself of The Rock taking Cody's spot has over 500,000 dislikes. It's insane. The difference. It beat the record when it hit over like 300K for the most disliked video for WWE, and it's over 500,000 now. The hashtag We Want Cody is trended #1 for a while on Twitter. It's insane. It's great to see. The best part of being a fan is when something like this catches fire and it becomes this fever pitch where it's everywhere. And it's great. I cannot wait to see what happens. Raw is tonight, actually, when you're seeing this, so Monday night. So I'm curious to see if we're going to see just the crowd try to take over and just chant "We Want Cody" for everything. It's going to be great. I'm really looking forward to it. So that's it. That's all I wanted to talk about. Thank you all for watching. Let me know in the comments below what you read in the past week, what you're going to be reading this week, and we'll talk to you all next time. You've been bearded in. Beardage.